On today's Locked On Thunder podcast, the Thunder send down Aleksej Pokusevski to the Oklahoma City Blue. What does that mean moving forward for the Thunder? Also, we'll have another edition of Stock Watch and get you set for tonight's game against the New Orleans Pelicans. All of that and more coming up on today's Locked On Thunder on the Locked On Podcast Network, your teams every day.
You are Locked On Thunder, your daily Oklahoma City Thunder podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Let's get it going on the Locked On Thunder podcast, on the Locked On Podcast Network, your teams every day. I am your host, Rylan Stiles. You can follow me on Twitter at Rylan_Stiles. Follow the show on Twitter at LOThunderPod. Email the show, LOThunderPod@gmail.com. You can even call into the show 405-362-7128. On today's show, brought to you by TrueBill, we're going to dive into the Thunder sending Pokusevski down to the G League, where the Thunder rank in the league in terms of power rankings, and previewing tonight's game against the New Orleans Pelicans. All of that's coming up on today's episode of Locked On Thunder, brought to you by TrueBill. TrueBill is the new app that saves you money by saving you from, of course, those automatic subscriptions that you don't want or need anymore. And for the ones that you do want to keep on those subscriptions, they will negotiate better deals for you. So go check out TrueBill. And thank you for making Locked On Thunder your first listen every single morning, every single day. We're here for you talking Thunder basketball. And so I greatly appreciate that. For your second listen, make sure after this podcast is over that you stay on the Locked On Podcast Network. Go check out the Locked On NBA for the grand scheme of the entire league and the association. Well, the big story tonight is that Pokusevski was sent down to the Oklahoma City Blue. Now, you're going to see the Thunder shuffle Pokusevski back and forth continuously and in the same day at times because remember, last year we got out of this mode because of the bubble being there for the G League. So the G League only played 12 games and they were playing them in Florida, and you couldn't really move guys up and down as you could throughout a normal duration of the season. And this will be heightened in January because in January, it returns to the G League format of you're playing a more NBA comparable schedule. Right now, you're going to go days upon days, even weeks at a time without having a game as we lead up to this winter showcase next week for the G League. This is kind of like pool play, so to say, to set that showcase up. And there were week stretches and day stretches where the Blue did not play. So that's kind of where you saw the limited assignments. They're only being assigned down there for a more intensive practice. Remember, the Thunder were kind of going through a walkthrough or weren't doing anything kind of heavy at practice. Those guys who haven't been getting minutes would go down to the Blue and practice with the Blue because the Blue were doing some more thorough practices that could let them kind of get their work in whenever they're not getting the work in at the NBA level. So these assignments are not going to be anything new come January and throughout the next stretch of this season. You're going to see them being shuffled up and down constantly. And again, even in the same day, because they do have to be recalled to join the bench and to be there with their teammates each game. And so whenever the Blue play at home in the Paycom Center, there's no reason not to recall Pokusevski and these other players to be there that same night for the Thunder whenever they play at the Paycom Center and be there and watch them and be on the bench with them and kind of reconnect to their team. That's been a point of emphasis for the Thunder all season long. It's part of the benefit of having your G League team and your NBA team in the same arena, in the same city, in the same everything. And that goes back to the practice aspect too, because the Blue practice in Edmond, and so you can just simply send these players to the original Thunder facility, the Thunder Ion facility up the road in Edmond, and send them there, let them practice in a more heavy load practice than versus the light load that happens in season in the NBA as these games start to pile up and you start to have these players in their more routine and rigid aspects of their practices. So you're going to see Pokusevski recall here in a couple of hours or minutes, therefore, because the Blue just finished up their game. And so they finished playing the Stockton Kings just now, and they'll be able to recall Pokusevski for tonight's game against the Pelicans. Mark said he's not sure how much of these guys will play, given the fact that Pokusevski just got done playing 20 minutes, literally 5 minutes ago, and the game and the turnaround for this game is at 7 p.m. So I'm not sure that Pokusevski will play for the NBA team tonight, but that's obviously a possibility. It's more so about reconnecting with the group and not feeling alienated as you're down there with the Blue in the G League, which is not a demotion. It's just a simple tool for progression, which is what Mark preached after practice yesterday, as he's preached all season long. But after practice yesterday, he made a very distinct point to reiterate that this is not a demotion. And he went on a long diatribe about the progression system and about how these minutes are so valuable, even if they come at the blue level and not the Thunder level. And so Pokusevski finds his way down to the blue. Now, this is nothing new for Pokusevski. He was with the blue last year during his rookie season in the bubble, and he became a whole different player whenever he returned from the blue and from the bubble. He kind of looked entirely different after that stoppage there. And this offseason, he came back as a different player. His body is more refined. It's a better frame on him. Still has some ways to go, but it's still a better frame for Pokusevski, as Mark highlighted yesterday after practice. And also, just by watching the games, the bloopers, the memeable plays, the silly Poku plays have kind of limited themselves throughout this season so far. And so you see a progression in that aspect as well for Pokusevski. But the blue allows him to get more substantial minutes, longer stretches of minutes, and put him in different scenarios. Whenever you have this full Thunder roster, you're not going to have Pokusevski do too much ball dominant stuff. You're not going to have him play too many minutes. You see him playing about 10 minutes, 12 minutes a game for the Thunder this year under Coach Dagon, whenever he was up there at 24 minutes a game last year, I believe, in his rookie campaign. So obviously those minutes got inflated last year due to the injuries, due to the way the season went at the end of the season. But still, it's a 10-minute drop-off for Pokusevski this year in minutes per game. And a large part of that is due to them kind of reeling him back in and slow playing him and working truly on his development. And so he goes to the blue, and he'll be able to be put in different spots that he's not going to be put in with the Thunder and work in larger stretches. And larger stretches, both total minutes and also larger stretches, both just time spent on the floor. You can get away with Pokusevski playing 10 straight minutes, 12 straight minutes with the blue. And with an NBA rotation, when you're trying to win NBA games, you can't get away with that in the NBA. You just simply can't. Not 12 minutes of valuable minute time. So that role of his will not only go to total minutes, but also allow him to develop himself in every way, physically, mentally, everything that goes along with playing those long stretches of time. It's not necessarily a video game where you can just kind of pop a guy in there for as long as you want to, no matter what the scenario is. You have to kind of learn how to play in each scenario in the NBA in real life. And so that's what the Thunder are trying to do with Pokusevski right now with the blue. And tonight, or this afternoon, he did not have a great game, did not have a bad game. He played composed, which was what I wanted to see the most out of Pokusevski, because you could either, one, take this as a demotion and get down on yourself and not really try for the first couple of games until you kind of snap out of that rut. He did not do that. That's great that he was not down on himself. Number two, you could say, well, I'm so much better than any of these G League competition or any of my teammates on the G League team that I'm just going to do whatever I want to. And I'm just going to jack up shots and I'm going to take over this game and I'm going to be the focal point. He didn't do that either. He played within his role, within himself. And so seeing Pokusevski carry that into the G League that he had in the NBA this year of playing within himself is a huge step forward for Pokusevski and for his growth. Because I think that last year's Pokusevski would have gotten to the blue and just jacked up shots, tried behind the back passes, and done just these ridiculous highlight reel type plays that end up on Shacked in a Full. I think that that's what would have happened. And this year, he's obviously changed for the better in that capacity. And that comes with maturity. That comes with the fact that he's still a teenager. He still has to grow and learn things on the basketball floor. And it's not like he had Josh Giddey's structure. Josh Giddey had two professional athlete parents. Josh Giddey was put in the NBA Academy. Josh Giddey played in a professional setting, the highest of the highest professional settings in Australia. And he had all those advantages. Pokusevski came over as a teenager from a second division overseas. Not even the best tier of overseas basketball. And the big knock on him and the big, kind of storyline around him, even from some of the best in the world at scouting overseas talent, both inside the NBA and outside the NBA, notably Fran Fraschilla, who does a fantastic job working for ESPN and scouting overseas talents, said he's 2 years away from being 2 years away. Most were floored that the Thunder even had him brought over here. Of course, us in Oklahoma City, who understood the mindset, understood the idea for the organization, we knew right away the moment the pick was made, he's going to be in Oklahoma City. But remember, if you were listening to the podcast back then, whenever we'd go have a crossover with Josh Lloyd or we have a crossover with some of these national hosts, they were shocked that I was saying, yeah, he's going to be over here and he's going to play minutes right away with the Thunder, even before training camp began, even before it was officially official that he was going to do that last year. But it caught a lot of people off guard that he was there already. So he is ahead of schedule, according to the organization. And people took that quote and ran with it and kind of made jokes about it. But that quote, whenever Mark says that Pokusevski's had a schedule from what the organization expected, that quote does not mean he's a finished product. Not even close. It does not mean that he's miles and miles and miles ahead of schedule. He's just ahead of schedule because he's already playing. He's already getting valuable experience. He's already growing. His body, his basketball mindset is changing and adapting and growing to the NBA. He's already taking steps forward. He's literally playing NBA minutes. And that's more than most expected. And again, most being the best of the best at evaluating overseas talent and seeing how they translate both inside the walls of the NBA that I've talked to and also outside of those walls that you've seen publicly on ESPN and throughout other media outlets. So he has taken a step forward and he is ahead of schedule. It's just not this quantum, just this seismic leap into the unicorn already that we all want him to be. And so I think that he's going to get there eventually, and that the Thunder hope he's going to get there eventually. And the best way to do that is by reeling him in, slow playing him with the NBA level, and also using the G League as a kind of tool to grow his game. And the beautiful thing about the G League with the Thunder is that it perfectly aligns with this organization, and they're on the same page in constant communication. It's just an extension of the Thunder. So that's going to be great for his game, I think, and that he is ahead of schedule. It's just not kind of a finished product yet, which is why I think people got confused on yesterday with that quote from Mark. But something that you should never get confused about is the fact that Stance is incredible. Stance is the place to be for everything. Socks, activewear, underwear, just everything that you want to wear on your body, it should be Stance, because Stance is awesome. Recently, I got these colorful, comfortable socks from Stance. They are the best socks you're ever going to have. The apparel is very well made. It's super soft. It's entirely unique. It's a lot of fun to wear them. You look forward to purchasing more for yourself whenever you buy them or for others. Stance gives you a sense of confidence. It's simply just a ability to make you feel good and unique and different and kind of step out of kind of your ordinary sock game. I love the Stance apparel as they continue to up their game with it venturing out to activewear now. And again, the socks have been around forever. The shirts, the joggers, the hoodies, the underwear. I love the fact that Stance kind of takes a leap and takes a kind of ownership of creativity in the sense of making Russell Westbrook socks and making Joey Votto socks and making these athletes on your socks that you can really express yourself and identify yourself with your apparel and what you wear. It's a lot of fun to browse Stance and see their selection, and also to actually put them on and to wear them comfortably around the house or out in public or whatever the case is, and really show a piece of you or have a piece of you on your feet. Stance is incredible. Go check them out. Founded in 2009, Stance apparel represents a radical reinvention of socks, underwear, and activewear with a sharp focus on comfort, quality, and creativity. Stance brings an atypical aesthetic along with some pop culture's hottest collaborations for the ultimate in style and self-expression, because everything you wear should be a direct extension of who you are and how you feel. What are your favorite designers? I personally love the fact that they have all these different designs. I mean, they have The Office, one of my favorite TV shows. They have Disney options, Major League Baseball options, NBA options. I love the NBA and Major League Baseball, so it's great for me. Stance apparels are awesome, but I've never felt a better sock than the Stance sock. They're soft and comfortable like you're walking on clouds. It is incredible to see the fact that they can give you something fun to wear that's also comfortable. A lot of the times whenever you venture out and get some creative clothing, it has a lot of creative designs, but interchanging for those creative designs is a lack of quality and comfort, not with Stance. Stance gives you that quality, comfort, and creativity. The incredible reaction that I see on people's faces whenever I give them Stance apparel for gifts, especially in this holiday season, is just heartwarming. Stance believes that the perfect fit matters more than the fitting in, and those who feel good do good. So go see for yourself. Register for an account at stance.com and get 15% off your first purchase by using our code NBA at checkout. That's applying our code Locked On at checkout to get 15% off your first purchase. That's our code Locked On at checkout to apply for 15% off your first purchase whenever you create your account at stance.com. So enjoy the color and comfort and make life less ordinary with Stance. That's again code Locked On at stance.com. Get 15% off your first purchase. We are back on Locked On Thunder Podcast, on Locked On Podcast Network, your teams every day. Thank you for making Locked On Thunder your first listen. Every single morning, every single day, we're here for you talking Thunder basketball. Today, we're talking about Pokusevski being sent down to the G League. We're going to talk about tonight's game against the New Orleans Pelicans. We're going to do all of that fun stuff. But I do want to tell you also to go check out Locked On NBA. Locked On NBA is incredible. It's a 5-week podcast with a rotating cast of hosts that can get you set for each and every night in the association and recap the night before within this league. And so you will want to go check them out for free on all platforms, just like our show is free on all platforms, including on YouTube. So subscribe there and wherever else you get your podcast from. So Pokusevski with the G League, it's a nice move. It's a good move for the organization. It's a good move for Pokusevski, and we'll see where this grows. And again, you're going to see myself and every other Thunder beat writer and beat reporter talk about how he's being bumped up and down. So you're going to see us tweet a lot of screenshots of a lot of press releases at the exact same time, when we all get the same press release at the exact same time, of Pokusevski is with the blue, next with the Thunder, he's with the blue, next with the Thunder. So get used to that bouncing back and forth, but every time he goes to the blue, these are the reasons why. I think that it'll be great for him. Even Kendrick Williams said that they've talked to him as a team, Pokusevski as a team. They've been supporting of him. They've referenced how good that he was with the team after he experienced the G League last season. And Mark even referenced unfair expectations that we put on Pokusevski. And he mentioned that, on Twitter, and he singled out Twitter, that there's a lot of made up skittles, which of course is his analogy for, made up highlights or made up kind of course, big plays that aren't really that big of a deal, but we kind of take them and expand upon them and make them bigger than they are. And so, number one, it to me, since he singled out Twitter, and you know that Pokusevski is a cult follower on all social media, but he singled out Twitter. Mark absolutely has a burner account. Absolutely has a burner account. And I just want to know if he follows me on Twitter at Rylan_Styles. So if you're listening and you're out there and you're on your burner account on Twitter, I want you to send me a DM. Just be like, I won't tell anybody. I just want to know. I just want to know that you're out there evaluating the tweets. Or maybe he doesn't have an account. He just kind of knows who to look up and who to find that's talks Thunder basketball all the time. But nonetheless, Mark's on Twitter. So if you had one tweet that you could send out that you knew Mark would see, what would it be? Leave it in the comments below. I think that I would tweet out to him if I knew his handle, to come on Locked On Thunder and talk baseball. Because he obviously is a big baseball fan. Like, most of his analogies have to do with baseball. It's really impressive. And I think that it's kind of this under the radar storyline about him, that he loves baseball so much. He even said that in pre-draft dinners, whenever you have the pre-draft workouts and you talk with pre-draft prospects, that a lot of times those conversations devolve into baseball at some players. And he mentioned some of the Raptors players who were on the Raptors team. Yuta, I believe, was the player he was kind of singling out, that whenever he talked to him pre-draft, it turned into a baseball conversation with him. So that was really interesting to see kind of Mark's hobbies in that way, because, it is so time consuming being in the NBA, like being an NBA head coach. That's kind of all of your time, and to sort of have that kind of outlet is interesting for Mark, that it is going to be baseball for him, or so it appears, obviously. I don't want to assume anything. But yeah, I think this will be great for the organization as a whole, and trying to grow Pokusevski into that unicorn we all want him to be. And I think that it's fair that there have been too much expectations put on Pokusevski, that we all expected this big leap. And I tried to caution everybody in the offseason. You can go back and re-listen. I said a lot of the times you're going to see this leap happen year 2 to 3 and not year 1 to 2. And so I've been saying that and preaching that for the last year now for Pokusevski. And that's kind of where we're at right now, where the leap is happening. He is improving steadily, but it's not just this jaw-dropping leap. And that's what we all wanted from him, was a jaw-dropping leap. And so whenever that doesn't happen, then you see fans start to react in a negative light. Everyone knew, Sam Presti, Mark, us, everybody knew this is a project pick that's going to take a long, long, long time to pay off. And if it does pay off, if it does hit, he can be an NBA unicorn that is just an otherworldly player. And the fact that that's out there, even if it's just a 1% chance, a 2% chance, a 15% chance, whatever percentage you want to put on it, the fact that that's out there creates a ton of buzz and interest and expectation. Because we all want the best of the best to happen. We all want players to hit their ceiling. A lot of times they don't hit their ceiling, though. That's the thing. It's like Jeremiah Robinson-Earl is not getting these unfair expectations. He's getting put on him. Yeah, he could be a very key rotational piece, because he was never projected to be an NBA unicorn. Just as those top of the line scouting experts from inside and outside the NBA said it would take 2, 3, 4, 5 years for Pokusevski to get to the NBA and play meaningful minutes, much less make a huge impact. They also said, but when he does create a path for himself to be in the NBA and get NBA minutes, it can lead to all-star unicorn level potential. And so now it's just a matter of seeing what side of the spectrum it falls on. The Thunder took a home run swing to start this rebuild. It was a calculated risk. Whenever you're picking at pick 16, it was a calculated risk to take that swing. And so we'll see if it pays off. We'll see if he hits a single, a double, a triple, a home run, or if you strike out. But there's a big reason why the Thunder did that. Because in the 2020 draft, a pick in the teens is not going to define your rebuild in a negative way. It can only define your rebuild in a positive way. And so while maybe a Desmond Bane would be the safer option, he also does not have the upside Pokusevski has. And so you might as well take the shot on the guy that could become an MVP versus take the shot on the guy that could be a solid starter or sixth man. And that's kind of all that they have to offer you. Pokusevski could be out of the league, and Desmond Bane is by no means ever going to be out of this league until he decides to retire, because that shooting skill that he has, that elite ability, is so valuable. He can do this till he's 40 years old, because you can always shoot ball. You can always shoot basketballs, right? So that's the upside that the Memphis Grizzlies got with Desmond Bane, whereas the Thunder are shooting for the upside of, I just want a totally reinvented player in Pokusevski. And it could fall on my face, but that was the calculated risk, because that pick is not going to negatively impact this rebuild, right? The difference in the Thunder getting back to a championship contending team is not going to be the difference between Pokusevski and Desmond Bane. For example, it would be the difference between Josh Giddey and Jonathan Kuminga, right? That difference right there is going to be what defines this rebuild, what defines the Thunder moving forward. And so it's worth the risk. And so far, so good. Again, he is ahead of schedule, folks. Like, I know we want this microwave success story. We want this just instant gratification, but you got to take the baby steps with Pokusevski with these draft picks, and he's ahead of schedule. That's all there is to it. But you should go ahead and schedule time to go to BetOnline.ag, because BetOnline.ag is incredible, folks. It has you covered for all the season with more prop bets, odds, and lines than ever before. As football season marches into playoffs and basketball season continues to ramp up, BetOnline is your number one source for sport action this season. Head over to the new and updated website and mobile device to sign up today. Whenever you sign up at BetOnline.ag, you're going to receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit whenever you sign up with our code Locked On. Our code Locked On will give you a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit at BetOnline.ag. From basketball, football, NHL, boxing, and UFC, even your favorite Vegas casino games. Do not wait to take advantage of these amazing offers available today for the 2021 season. BetOnline, the fastest and best way to bet on all of your sport action. BetOnline, where the game starts. I want to tell you right now, but your friends over at Built Bar. Built Bar is fantastic. Built Bar is incredible. You're going to want to try out Built Bars because they are delicious. It's a protein bar, but it tastes like a candy bar. Nay, better than a candy bar. Built Bars are filling. They're good for you. They are low in calories, sugar, net carbs, and fat, but high in protein. You get the best of both worlds, delicious and healthy. So many flavors: raspberry, mint brownie, cherry, double chocolate, cookies and cream, or peanut butter brownie. You will need to put one in your purse or your jacket pocket, because no matter if you're busting down those mall doors or just simply standing in a line at the mall that seems endless, these Built Bars can give you that extra something to get you going. People are very passionate about their favorite flavors, so beware whenever you bring up your favorite flavor in a discussion, because it could lead to a massive debate. But my favorite flavor is cookies and cream, and I will fight for cookies and cream to the death. Santa Claus might just throw you a few Built Bars in your stocking, because they make for great stocking stuffers. They are incredible with their many flavors to choose from. It'll make Christmas morning a very happy one for everyone involved. And as a little pro tip for you, I've given you the pro tip of putting your Built Bars in the refrigerator. Now for this special holiday season, go ahead and dip your Built Bar in a piping cup of hot cocoa and let it melt a little bit. Get that Built Bar flavor into your beverage, and then also have a nice melty Built Bar treat to go with it. But make sure you have a couple napkins on hand for that experiment. Like so many of those marshmallow treats around the holiday season, are you one of those people that like these marshmallowy treats and desserts in the holidays? Well, try out Built Bar Puffs. It's that light, fluffy marshmallow you taste through and through with different flavors, and they're all covered in chocolate. They all taste so great, and they're all filled with protein. So go to BuiltBar.com. That's BuiltBar.com. Promo code LOCKED15, 15% off your next order. 15% off of your next order with Locked On 15 or Locked 15 at BuiltBar.com, and Locked 15, 15% off your next order Again, thank you for making Locked On Thunder your first listen every single morning, every single day. We're here for you talking Thunder basketball. And we want to continue today's show by talking about tonight's game against the New Orleans Pelicans. In this game, for now, Pokusevski, Isaiah Roby, Theo Maledon are listed as out because they're on the G League assignment. But like I said, we're expecting a email anytime now with the Thunder press release that they've all been recalled to rejoin the team. How much will they play, though, tonight? Probably not much because they just played a game this afternoon. So obviously that is not conducive to playing back to double headers in the same day. This is not baseball for these basketball players. So they're likely not going to play too much, but they will be on the bench and will be active for this game. Lou Dort, however, is still listed as out. Now, after practice yesterday, Mark did not rule out Lou Dort. He said he was day-to-day and that it was possible he plays, possible he does not play. So he left that up as kind of questionable, obviously, for tomorrow's game. But then the official NBA injury report came out last night and into the morning, and Lou Dort was listed as out for tonight's game. Now, obviously, that can all change in a matter of moments, and we'll hear from Mark at about 5:30, so follow us on Twitter at Ryland_Styles to get the official ruling for tonight's game. But as of now, Lou Dort is listed as out with an ankle sprain, and he is day-to-day after yesterday's practice, where he did not practice yesterday, and Mark gave us that update on him. So Mark will update us again tonight around 5:30 Central Time. So follow us on Twitter at Ryland_Styles to hear all of the latest Lou Dort updates. Now, in this game, the Thunder are 5.5-point underdogs at home, and I'm going to take the Thunder plus 5.5 in this game to keep it close to the Pelicans, if not outright win with the Pelicans. And the Moneyball pick today will be SGA. I think that he finally gets it going and really has a jaw-dropping game. I think that here in a couple hours when we record the recap podcast, we are going to be jaw agaped at the fact that SGA is just a star after tonight's performance. Hopefully, I'm right about that. I hope that we have a starlet performance from SGA in this game. And so let me know what you think about Pokusevski going to the blue in the comments below. And until tonight, be good and be good to one another.